Got some big changes come to PUBG. A lot to go over today. Update 31.2. We've got a slight adjustment of Taego, which we're going to watch a couple videos around that, which are kind of cool. I think it's kind of neat going back to the roots of Brendan and his initial idea of PUBG. And we're going to go through the patch notes as well, real quick, along with just a brief look at the dev letter regarding region merges and the benefits and consequences of. And let's dive in. So we've got episode 1 and 2 of The Veil. If you guys haven't seen this yet, it's a pretty cool video. Let's check it out. I do appreciate that they actually put the time in and make videos like this. I think it's neat. Got the blue chips. Ooh. It's a lot in that trailer. Obviously, looking at blue chips, it's hinting towards cloning. I think you're gonna see stuff like this, these boards on the walls somewhere in Taego. I hope they do, because it's always kind of cool to see the Easter eggs. Like they had those missions for Erangel when Erangel was relaunched not that long ago, where you could go and find different stories and different clues. You see here it's kind of inmate driven. Very cool. Very cool. Let's watch episode 2.
The research wasn't flawed from the beginning.
Using the blue chip, we were creating controllable entities.
Spooky.
We thought Project Phalanx was humanity's home. Everything went
Zombies.
The test subjects began to rampage.
The lab turned into chaos. We started to call them hunger. Their gluttony was unrelenting, and they targeted us.
Yes, that's why Taego fell.
Taego needs help.
Mark 12 with an 8X, love it. Reminds me of Brontosaurus, always rocking around with a DMR with an 8X on it.
Escape, Taego.
Spooky. Am I the only one too that's always called it Taego? I think I did actually already in this video here. But I guess it's pronounced Taego. Interesting. Taego is actually and always has been one of my favorite maps. I think the Palace drop is one of the best landing spots in the entire game. Share in the comments or in the chat if you guys like Palace as well. A lot more shown in this clip here. We're going to see the next episode released pretty soon here. I definitely like where they're going with this, how they talk about, just, that they're cloning and that it went wrong, and implication of zombies. They call it a hunger. Personally, I think there could have been a different name that would have been a little bit more on point than that one, but it works. We get your zombies appeal right there.
Subjects began to rampage.
Very cool.
The lab turned into chaos.
I wonder if we're gonna see this lab. Is there actually a lab? Oh, this is not actual gameplay. They should put a lab somewhere. Absolutely. Apex does this every time they release a new season. So does Fortnite. They do a really good job. Both those games do a really good job at putting in the next season's updates a little early to excite people for the next season. They should totally do it in PUBG as well.
Chaos. We started to call them hunger. Their gluttony was unrelenting.
They seem like they move pretty quick too,
Targeted us.
which will be interesting. So you're going to see a little bit of the new map here. They renamed Studio, which I'm going to be honest, chat. I actually really enjoyed Studio. It was one of my favorite drop spots when I wasn't going center map.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like basically, or roughly what it looks like now. We're going to review that here shortly. But I kind of wish they put this, you know, more in the middle. You know, it'd been cool to see a new city emerge in Taego instead of them removing an old good one.
Taego fell.
We got the pillar coming back as well. Also super excited about how they started this whole thing with pillar, with Haven, and they really vamped it up in Destin, and then Destin just got the back end of the burner, and so did Haven. If you look at it, both of them. Rather play Destin all day long than play Rondo for the next couple years. I'd be fine with that.
Taego needs help.
Pretty cool. So keep in mind when Brendan first had this idea of PUBG, it was all about him coming off of, if I'm not mistaken, DayZ, which is an Arma mod. So there's a lot of history there of zombies and that sort of thing. I think it was a DayZ mod, which was all about battle royale with zombies. It was massive map. I've never played it, but we might have to try that just because it's old school. Then Brendan went to H1Z1, I think is what it was called, which is a battle royale with zombies. So I'm gonna say it's about time. I think it adds an interesting twist to it. I'm glad that it's not on every map, but this also might be just for this mode. We might not see them stick around. We'll see some interesting changes with this. So let's dive in. That's episode 1. Episode 2, there's gonna be episode 3, Veil of Taego coming out very soon. I believe it's probably tomorrow morning. But let's go through the patch updates and we'll dive into the next piece of this. So patch 31.2, of course, Veil of Taego. We've got a new pass called Zero Gravity. This looks like a very bright one as well. Map service. Once again, this is utterly disappointing what PUBG has decided. But for the map selections regions, AS and SEA, you've got Erangel still as the fixed. They've got the options for their maps there, including Sanhok on Korean and Japan. You've got 3 maps, Erangel, Taego, and Sanhok as fixed map rotations. Can we get this rotation, please? For God's sake, that would be awesome. Like, can I pay for that? Is that a possibility to pay extra to play on that map selection? That would be really sick. Then we got random map regions for the rest of us here, essentially starting off with Erangel. And they did bring Sanhok back. This is one thing I did want to point out here. I don't even know if most people even noticed it, but Sanhok was 11% chance one time out of the 5 map week selection, which basically means you had a higher percentage chance of basically unlocking a progressive than playing Sanhok. They've brought it back. And when I say that is because the last map rotation we had, it wasn't even in the rotation, which is huge because little history for everyone here. Back when after Sanhok came out, it was probably a year after, when we had an average of like 500,000 players still playing on NA alone. This is some time ago. The different map queue times for picking a specific map. Miramar was 8 minutes. Then the next one after that was Old Vikindi, which is 1 minute and 20 seconds queue time. The next one after that was Erangel with a minute 2 average queue time. And then Sanhok with a 12-second queue time. I mean, it really spoke right there based on the queue times how much Sanhok was liked by the community, at least back then. And when they took it out of the map rotation, I think we lost a lot of good players and a lot of the community, unfortunately. It's my opinion on it. Those who remember that time period can verify those numbers there as well. Very sad. Sanhok's a great map. Not Sanhok 2.0, Sanhok 1.0. But yes, I would love this rotation. I don't know about you guys, but let me know in the comments and in the chat, those who are watching this live or on YouTube. I'd love to know what your guys' opinion is on the map or the region. Excuse me, I'm tripping over my words today. The map selections. I love the Korean and Japan one. I think it's way better than the NA one. That being said, once again, Destin getting the shelf as well as Karakin. Destin is one of PUBG's best maps. It has phenomenal buildings. It's a great layout, a beautiful map, absolutely awesome map to play. There's so much potential that they have with that. And then they took out drones, which took out a lot of the features of Destin, and it doesn't seem like they're going back. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but Rondo is a very beautiful map. It is way too big. It is the first map in PUBG where there is land that you can run on in all 10 or 64 squares. And you can feel it. You know, the gameplay is so drastically slowed down. If you land hot, then the game goes where if you land hot, then that's it. And then after that, there's no mid game, there's no late game, there's very late game. That's it. It's just very unusually balanced. I hope they give us something other than Rondo. I would trade Rondo in a heartbeat for Destin or Karakin myself. It's not one of my favorite maps, but it is the one that they have invested the most into. Let's move on. So, world of Taego. They also got rid of studio. Once again, I love the studio. These big buildings that you see here. Let me blow that up here a little bit so we can see this a little better. These big buildings were amazing to loot. And when I say about that is if these kind of buildings were in maps like Myanmar, the looting would just feel better. They're easy to loot. There's stuff inside the building that you can run around. Just great spots to land. You can land at one of these buildings, get an okay amount of loot to then fight and engage someone. If you were to loot two of these buildings or two of these warehouses together, you'd be in a really good spot. And that's one thing that I think some maps really struggle with, like Myanmar. Myanmar's looting, if you look at it from a looting pattern standpoint, it is rough. But we've got this area essentially renamed as hospital. You don't see those big warehouses at all, essentially just one building. I feel like this is they took some stuff from the Erangel hospital and some from there's another spot in the map on Erangel that I can't think of the name at the moment. The old Stahlberg maybe, or the new Stahlberg. I like Taego's buildings, but this will be an interesting one. I'm not super crazy about this change. The next one is Shipyard. This one I am so on board with. Shipyard is another one, that massive building, a lot of potential that they could even do in these buildings, but it was just so far out of the way that it would kind of became useless. I love choke points. I like that Sandhawk. One of the reasons why I love Sandhawk is there's multiple choke points that you actually have to fight to get over. Taego and Erangel are set up exactly the same way. Moreover, Taego and Sandhawk, I think old Vikindi was as well, back when the Vikindi version that had water. You guys remember that old Vikindi version? Phenomenal map. They should bring that one back. So I think this one is a good one, though. It's a good change. It makes the two parts of the map up there way more useful and beneficial for people to actually run around and use those parts of the map. There's certain parts of Taego, I love Taego, but there's certain parts of Taego that are kind of useless, and that area was one of them. So huge fix. This one is they expanded the coastal area and added new terrain around Hosan Prison. I think this is great. Honestly, different maps that you would see that the ground or terrain change, like Rondo can. Myanmar and Taego are two maps that could really benefit from being able to change the terrain. That would be really something that I'd be super on board with. It looks like they've added some more here, which I'm absolutely on board with. I hate just plain nothingness. You know, you run around like Myanmar, there's so much open nothing, and you get like one rock in the phase 5 circle. Much better area with having deflates and stuff like that. Sinam, huge, great change. I love this. Adding another one of these buildings. This one's a simple building, but there's enough loot in here for one person to drop and to have something they can at least fight with, right? Maybe a vest and like one gun and some ammo or something like that. These buildings are simple. They're structured in a nice way, in a way that you can loot them in a nice loot pattern, which I love the loot patterns. Phenomenal change. You also see a little bit more. I think the terrain changes a little bit up here. It goes more of up a hill, but it also could be the angle that they took this picture on too. So looks roughly the same. So yeah, it does look like the hill back here changed a little bit as well. Hosan, let's go. Another cool one. Added a lot more trees. I like it. I think they could even double up on the trees in like this area here. But this is a great change as well. This is one of those useless areas in Taego that there's just so much vast open nothingness. There's a couple trees out there. This will actually make this area a viable spot to stop and then fight in. You actually have rocks. You actually have trees. Great change. Phenomenal. Different weather conditions. I like it. You know, essentially it's the day outside or the regular weather, overcast, and then sunny. Absolutely love it. This is what the new map is going to look like as well. I'll pop that up. So the major change essentially on the map you're going to see here is hospital instead of studio. This is a bridge. The one thing they didn't mention, I don't think they repaired this bridge. I would be okay if they actually did repair this bridge, but if they kept it the way it was, that'd be fine too. Having this bridge up here though, really when the circles would finish in this area here, unless you were on, if you're on this side in the circle, like switched from like this section and then switched over here, you just couldn't get across. It was just a really bad, honestly, it's a bad design. So that bridge is going to make a world of a difference. Are you going to get destroyed on the bridge? Absolutely. But at least you have a chance versus having to swim across a canal and, you know, phase 5 when the circle just shifted across to the other side. So super cool. We're going to have to save that. All right, so they come back. A BR map has been removed. That was for, if you guys remember when Taego was released, they introduced the first comeback, which was essentially, at least it was something. It was not a great option, but it was essentially after the first round going into round 2. If you were dead and your teammates were alive, you would go to a comeback arena. I like the idea of it, and they brought it out in the new Vikendi or Vikendi Reborn as well. But they should have just given us revives with whatever chip that they wanted to do from the get-go. Quick side note on that note too. I don't think they're going to change it anytime soon. I have not seen anything about them changing it, but I hope to God that they do. You should not be able to pick up enemy blue chips. It shouldn't be in the game. It should have never have been in the game. You cannot pick up enemy blue chips or enemy banners in any other battle royale. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's a really bad thing to have. You can have some really toxic players that just want to be jerks, especially to content creators, but just to everyone, just to the casual player. They want to be a jerk and they just pick up all the blue chips and then they go hide them somewhere. We've had this happen so many times. I know that other streamers and content creators have had this happen to them as well, that they get people stream sniping them and then they get thirsted and somebody grabs their blue chip and runs off. It's just a really crappy experience for absolutely everyone. It shouldn't be an option in the game. Let me know your comment in the comments in a chat here, guys. What your thoughts are on that one would be. I'd love to know. Destin gets some weather changes. Pretty straightforward there. They're giving an update to the airplanes. Pretty cool. Training mode is also changing as well. And this is one thing that I was asking for a long time ago. When I mean a long time ago, like 6.5 years ago. Infinite ammo. So now you don't have to keep buying or not buying. You don't have to keep adding more ammo. There was really no reason to have added ammo. The only other negative thing that would follow relating to this would be is you won't know how much ammo you can hold in your bag because you no longer have a limit essentially. But there probably is going to have ammo on there. So you won't have to add ammo anymore. I absolutely love it. It means you can just sit there and spray a wall, switch guns, sit there and spray a wall endlessly until your heart desires. Keep an eye out for, guys. We're going to have a video coming out on for a wannabe pro like myself, who's not good enough to be pro and doesn't care to be. a walkthrough on how to warm up and how to actually practice to improve your aim from a casual standpoint. Something that's going to be very exciting. We've had a few people ask for that. We're going to have that come out here soon. The next thing is save and loading gear sets. Now you can load and save your gear set. So if you have a specific gear set you like to jump into the training mode, you like to have a certain gear set, say with certain items on your weapons, you can now save those so that the next time you can load them up faster to practice a lot quicker, which is super cool. Some observer changes here. Miscellaneous stuff. We've got the new Survivor Pass update as well. Workshop, some new items added to the Hunter's chest and the other chest. Not necessarily stuff that I would get. I do like this outfit. That's pretty cool. Two new costumes have been added as well. This is definitely Apexy. If you guys have played Apex, that's literally straight out of Apex. I like it though. It's cool that they're adding some cool stuff and some glowing stuff. All right, we're gonna jump into a lot of this is just other miscellaneous things. We're gonna jump into the region merge, which once again, guys, if you guys haven't yet, those who are watching this live on Twitch, add your comments in there. I love to read those while we're making these videos. But if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. We've got some great updates and outside of the norm perspective on the casual gameplay of PUBG and where we're headed, along with case opening videos, gameplays, frags, all fun stuff. So definitely make sure to check it out. Let's take a look here. So dev letter region merge. We're going to do the highlights of this because this is pretty straightforward. We're merging some regions, which essentially they're up 46%, somewhere around 710 PCU. Pretty cool. However, as I say here, since then we have continued to monitor and make additional improvements. However, to improve upon it even more and provide the best gaming experience for our players, we have decided to merge some of our regions. Their goal essentially is to improve matchmaking, which we'll have a note on that at the end of this conversation about one of the players returning to PUBG and his experience. Shout out to Captain America. So we're expecting this will not only lower the wait time for matchmaking, but also improve the precision of skill-based matchmaking. Very interesting take. Sometimes we're headed in the right direction, sometimes we're not. This one's going to be a hot topic, chat. So normal match, by facing off against players your skill level, we hope to increase the satisfaction and overall quality of competition that will help you grow in your skills while having a great time. I think that's a nice way of putting it, but in a nutshell, we're seeing some pretty drastic changes here. So the region merge details, what that's going to look like. AS and KRJP are all going to be merged together. SEA and DC are merged together. NA and SA are merged together. EU and CIS, they're going to remain separate. What this means, so I'm obviously from North America, so I'm going to focus on that particular area. And I can tell you over the last week, the hit reg situation in North America has been beyond atrocious. It is absolutely rough. I've talked to a lot of different content creators. I actually just asked a content creator just this question before making this video, like, if you experienced this, and he also confirmed that yes, the hit reg, the desync is terrible. I think this is a predecessor to what we're going to see coming. I'm right in the center of the United States. Generally speaking, I should have really good ping pretty much in any server. Like even like Dallas, Texas, or like a New York might be a little bit higher, might be in like the 60s or 70s. About 50% of the servers that I connect to right now, as of the last week, I have 101 ping, and I'm in the center of the US. So not great. Basically that's the equivalent of somebody from Canada going into the EU servers. That's what that is. And I can't be the only one. I know we have other people experiencing this as well. Lots of desync. I think just over this last weekend, probably over 10 to 15 games, just something stupid happening with desync. A lot of players are experiencing it. This is, in my opinion, the predecessor to what is to come. I get why they did this. I think this really drives around solo gameplay. For a few people that do play solos, including Wacky Jackie, shout out to Wacky Jackie. You know, he is the godfather of content for PUBG, and he said that solos are worthless to play because there's just so many bots. It speaks to that for sure. This change isn't the right direction, though, in my opinion. They should change how players connect, maybe how long the queue times are during down times. But combining these servers is going to cause a lot more high ping, essentially for the majority of players. I think most players, you're going to see a higher ping, especially people on the outskirts. They're going to have a much higher ping. And then people in the middle, we're in the middle of NA. We shouldn't be experiencing 100 ping. That's absolutely nuts. The pros, if you look at and talk to pros about ping and that sort of thing, some of them will complain about a 20 ping difference, right? We're talking right now, I usually average around, or I should be averaging around like 35 to maybe 60 ping, depending on, which region or which area the server is located. But to jump up to 100 is pretty rough. It's pretty rough. Consoles also being affected as well. NA, SA, and then AS and OC are all being, essentially both those are being put together. Excuse me. I don't mean to combine those all into one. The Q&A, essentially, they mentioned this here. So will ping change significantly with region merge? The answer is yes, it will absolutely. They say they've taken ping settings into consideration for regions that will be merged and continue to make improvements whenever possible. I think this is something that they're going to, and as they say here, we plan to adjust the optimal location. I hope that they actually do, but it is going to give the majority of players higher ping. There's really no way around it. The rest of these questions are honestly unrelated questions. You're merging servers, you're not destroying your game files. So, top 5 leaders or top 500 leadership board. I'll be honest with you, I haven't even looked at the top ranked leadership board since like the second ranked season. I'm talking about before ranked was put in the game. They actually called ranked back then. Because it was just taken over by cheaters after that, and pretty much the top 500 is almost all cheaters. So, which is really unfortunate. I'm not saying good players are cheaters. I'm saying that those are brand new accounts that are getting into ranked despite the security, and then getting to the top 500 leadership board and then getting banned within the next couple months. So there's more details that have not been covered in today's letter. Keep an eye out for an additional announcement before they update 31.2, which essentially would be this one. In a nutshell, it talks about how matchmaking is done when it comes to different things like ping. Once again, this is a change I think that's driven around the solo game player, and I totally get it. They want solo games not to be full of bots, but then in downtimes, just give them a longer queue time. That's really the answer here. Either play bots or a longer queue time, but to affect everyone during busy hours. So literally everybody in NA is going to start having higher ping, more desync. I think we're going to see a much higher player base leave, a higher count of people leave because of the desync and go play games like Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Fortnite, Apex, who don't have these problems, unfortunately. And I love PUBG. I've been playing since I think like the 3rd week, roughly, maybe the 5th week, somewhere in there. MMR system. This is where some interesting things come into play. So the MMR system, I think, was a really cool idea. And the point of MMR was to make it so that new players or people who are not super sweaty, like myself, are able to survive long enough to have a fighting chance. And they don't have to play like a complete scaredy cat just to get a kill. And you can usually tell those kind of players. And I'm not hating on them. Everyone's got to start somewhere, right? The type of players who would just sit in the corner somewhere and wait for you to run in the room and then they insta-thirst you, right? Those kinds of players are not necessarily going to want to go up against a 3 or a 4 KDR player in a casual game every single game. And right now that is exactly what the MMR system is trying to prevent. But it's not working. And Captain America, who is an awesome guy, he returned to PUBG after he played it back in the beta days, and he just came back to PUBG, and he shared his thoughts on that and basically said exactly that. Like, I want a chance to learn how to play this game again and learn how to be a good player again, but just the people are so sweaty, they're so insane that I shouldn't be getting put against these people at this level. And I get it. The MMR system as it is needs some work, and they're essentially looking to overhaul the whole system to try to better that experience. And I hope they do. But on the flip side of that, it is when they introduce this system that there was bot issues in games and longer queue times. So it comes at a cost, right? And is that cost too big? I don't know. Let me know in the comments or in the chat here, guys, what your thoughts are around that. Wacky Jackie had said it himself that, when he was talking about the MMR system, that because, obviously he's a good player, so he got put against better players, but then it ended up being a ton of bots, right? It's not a great experience. Talk about the weighted, the team, pre-made team algorithms, what that looks like. But just to wrap it up here, so concluding today's dev letter, today we discussed establishing a framework for skill-based matchmaking for normal match. Matchmaking is a crucial component of PUBG as it encompasses many intertwined elements that significantly impact the game's enjoyment and overall quality. Yes, it does. And, I hate playing on spots. But I guarantee you I would rather wait for longer queue time and not have 100 ping and also get put against people who are my skill level. It's just, there's a lot of wants in there, and I think there's some things that they could be accomplishing. Just to put a little piece, wrapping back to something we talked about before too, adding, I'm going to call it the casual small maps, like Karakin, Haven, Sandhawk. Adding these back into rotation would be very healthy for the game. Casual players, and I've said this before, and I firmly stand behind this because I've met tons of Counter-Strike players that went to PUBG, but then quit right after Miramar was released for good reason. They just didn't want to play a map that took 35 minutes to play. The casual player does not want to sit there and watch other people play. If they, you land hot or they get thirsted immediately, then they're sitting there watching other people play. The casual player is going to want to move on to the next game, and jump into the next game. If you're with friends, right, then your friends feel guilty. Let's say that one person gets killed or two people get killed and two people alive, and then you have to go and, grab their chips, which are not even available in the smaller maps, but you have to go grab their chips, and then it's another 8 minutes before they come back in because it's, depending on the phase. We need to make some major changes if we want to help get PUBG back to growing like it was earlier this year. One of them is bring back small maps in rotation. As 2, make the revives instant and on point, right on the point that they're revived at. You get called in, a plane that nobody sees or hears, maybe nobody hears, but you can see it up in the sky, flies over and drops the person off on that spot. If we do those 2 things right there, I think we're gonna be in a much better spot. And the third one being remove the ability for enemies to take the blue chips. couple simple things for life and quality of life of PUBG, I think would go a really far way. So overall, I'm happy that PUBG is still trying to make an effort, and they're coming out with some new cool stuff, like which it looks like zombies to Taego. I think that was originally part of Brennan Green's original vision of player-unknown battlegrounds, and I'm super excited. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you subscribe over on YouTube, and live on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 6:45 Central, and then on the weekends. So stop by and say hi. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and make sure you drop a comment in there. Let me know what you guys think about these region merges, the map rotations, the new patch, and we'll do another review on the patch that's coming out.